yun lang po.
At lalo-lalo na po, hindi po ako spy.
Ulitin mo kayo. Sinabi mo.
Ako po ay isang Filipino at hindi po ako spy.
Thank you.
Yan ang huling katagang sinambit ni dismiss Mayor Alice Guo nitong Mayo sa pagdinig ng Senado hinggil sa ilegal na operasyon ng sinalakay na pogo sa Bamban, Tarlac. Yan din ang huling pagkakataon na lumabas sa publiko ang sinibak na alkalde. Hanggang ngayon ay hindi pa rin siya mahagilap maging sa kanyang tirahan at farm sa Bamban. Sa isang eksklusibong panayam, sinabi ng abogado ni Mayor Alice Guo na si Attorney Stephen David na malapit na umanong lumantad ang sinibak na alkalde. Pagtitiyak pa niya na nandito lamang umano sa Pilipinas si Mayor Alice Guo at naniniwala raw siyang malakas ang kanilang laban. Hinahanap lamang umano nila ang tamang panahon ang muling paglantad ng naturang alkalde.
Pero nagsabi na siya sa iyo na she has plan to surface.
Of course, oo. Pero siyempre, contemplating siya on that. One of these days, magsasurface siya para harapin namin yung mga legal concerns, yung mga legal problems. Sabi ko nga sa kanya, pag hindi tayo humarap, sayang naman yung legal defense natin. Ako, legally defensible ka naman eh. Plus yung mga real estate properties mo, in good faith, acquire mo naman ng lahat yan decades ago, long before pa lumabas sa mga pogo na yan.
Marami rin daw ang kinukonsidera ni Mayor Alice Guo kabilang na ang kanyang mental health. May natatanggap rin daw umanong banta sa kanyang buhay ang naturang alkalde. Dagdag pa ni Attorney Stephen David, pangunahing dahilan ng malapit na paglantad ni Mayor Alice Guo ay para ipaglaban ang pagiging mayor nito sa Bamban. Samantala naging tensyonado naman ang naging talakayan sa Kongreso nitong August 15 na kung saan inalmahan ni Secretary Benhur Abalos ang naging patutsada ni Kabataan Party List Representative na si Manuel na sinabing mga ordinaryong tao lamang umano ang kayang hulihin ng PNP at hindi ang mga big personality tulad nila Pastor Apollo Kibuloy at dismiss Bamban Tarlac Mayor Alice Guo. Narito ang full update kung saan paano ginisa sa Kongreso sina Bamban Tarlac Mayor Alice Guo at Pastor Apollo Kibuloy, pati na ang PNP at CIDJ. Panuurin, pakinggang mabuti at kayo na ang bahalang humusga. Ngunit bago tayo magpatuloy, huwag kalimutang i-like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more updates and for more upcoming videos. Maraming salamat!
Ng DILG. I'll proceed right away, Madam Chair. Pero baka lang po mag 2 or 3 rounds po ako, Madam Chair, kasi given yung specificity ng issue sa mga attached agencies ng DILG, may questions po ako sa PNP, BJMP, pati sa NYC, Madam Chair. So, una, Madam Chair, sa support to the Barangay Development Program, which is one of the main programs ng NTF-ELCAC. Madam Chair, gusto nating i-confirm sa DILG kasi sila naman yung nag-oversee ng Barangay Development Program. For 2023, out of 1,253 projects, ilan po ang nakompleto for 2023 lamang?
For 2023, Madam Chair, we have a total of 1,253 projects under the support of Barangay Development Program. And our LGUs have completed the implementation of 841 projects.
841 projects? As of kailan po yan?
This is as of June 2024, Madam Chair.
Kasi Madam Chair, sa website naman ng NTF-ELCAC, ang sabi po nila, Madam Chair, ay mas mababa, 639 projects lang.
We will be submitting to the NTF-ELCAC our latest report on the status of projects under SBDP 2023.
Kasi Madam Chair, itong data ng NTF-ELCAC mismo, sabi nila 51% lang yung nakompleto. So kung may ganong figure, then dapat nagko-coordinate yung mga ahensya natin, Madam Chair. Bukang bibig naman po nila lagi whole of nation, pero sa data parang walang whole of nation. How about 2024, Madam Chair, so far? Out of 885 projects, ilan po yung nakompleto na?
Madam Chair, for 2024, the DBM just released the amount to our local government units. That's why our LUs are still in the process of procuring the projects.
Kung ganun, Madam Chair, ngayon po ay August na. Meron tayong 4 whole months na lang na natitira for the year. So, Madam Chair, kung ganito na naman, this is not the first time na ganito kabagal ang paggamit ng pondo for NTF-ELCAC. In fact, Madam Chair, noong 2021, kinailangan pang umabot hanggang June of this year para lang umabot sa 96% yung kanilang obligation rate, Madam Chair. So kung ganito, for 2024, nang ganito yung rate natin, kailan na naman nila magagamit yung buong pondo for this year, Madam Chair? Abot ba tayo 2027? Tapos, ang nais pa ng NTF-ELCAC, Madam Chair, for the Barangay Development Program ay taasan pa kung ano yung nasa National Expenditure Program. Kaya Madam Chair, hindi natin matatanggap na ganito na naman. Paulit-ulit po tayo every year, kahit po ako nagsasawa na, pero it's my job to point out kung may mga ganitong lapse sa ating mga ahensya, Madam Chair. So, all the more, Madam Chair, na dapat i-defund na natin. No? I strongly would insist na i-defund na natin itong NTF-ELCAC, including its Barangay Development Program for 2025. I-realign na po yan directly, Madam Chair, sa national agencies working on education, health, and other social services. Next, Madam Chair, to the Philippine National Police, I would address my question sa PNP. Policy question, Madam Chair, kasi di ba nagsabi ang ating nakaupong Pangulo ngayon na hindi gobyerno ang nangunguna sa red tagging? Tama po ba?
Opo.
Madam Chair, pero ang ating mga city and municipal police stations, di ba bahagi po ng gobyerno? Tama po ba?
Opo, sir.
Kasi Madam Chair, kaya po natin natanong kasi sa unang mayor na pag-aaral tungkol sa red tagging sa bansa, ginawa po ito ng Ateneo Human Rights Center. Ang sabi sa study na iyon, up until July 2024, kalakhan ng red tagging ay gawa ng gobyerno. At kalakhan ng online red tagging ay ginagawa ng city and municipal police stations sa Facebook. So, ano pong pagtingin ninyo doon sa ganitong pag-aaral ng Ateneo Human Rights Center?
Sir, I have to look po dun sa sinasabi nyo, but po na natin, we just follow yung rules po ng presidente natin. We don't want to red tag anymore. Yun po yung kung nangyari po yan, we have no idea, but I will investigate po kung nangyayari po yan. But right now, we don't have any report na ginagawa po namin yan.
Madam Chair, kung wala po silang idea, then it seems hindi nila talaga na-check yung ginagawa ng mga local police stations, lalo na kung may ganito nang consolidated information, then it is the task of our agencies na mag-ayos sila, Madam Chair. Dahil nga, iba yung sinasabi, pero iba yung ginagawa.
Sir, foremost, sir, we don't have any issue to red tag anybody, and it's against human rights. And kaya po namin din na-imbestigan yan because wala po kaming issue na coming from the higher ups, even before na yung mga predecessor ko, to come up with the red tagging po. Wala po kaming issuance ng ganang orders po.
So, Madam Chair, it's the word of the PNP under the current administration against the word of Ateneo Human Rights Center. And of course, Madam Chair, I think we would expect, yun yung sasabihin nila, they would deny na nangyayari ito. But again, Madam Chair, we have these people in the academe, civil society, na nag-a-attest nga na nangyayari pa rin ito under the current administration. Gusto natin, again, whole of nation, collaboration, pero kapag may mga sinasabi naman yung ating civil society to point out ano yung mga dapat pa rin ayusin, dinay natin, Madam Chair. So, hindi din po katanggap-tanggap yun, na yung mga ordinaryong kababayan natin, ang dali lang na i-red tag, tapos yung iba pa, inaaresto. Kaya, Madam Chair, to connect that to my next point, kasi kapag ordinaryong tao, ang dali nating hulihin, ganyan. How about naman yung mga personalities, we have people like Alice Go, Apollo Quiboloy, hindi pa natin nahuhuli. Ano po ang plano ng AFP, ng PNP, doon sa mga dapat hulihin na ng mga personalities?
Madam Chair, can I just answer about red tagging? With due respect to the Congressman Manuel, it is never the policy of the PNP to red tag. let that be put into record. Kung meron pong ganyang study ang Ateneo, we will look into it and investigate. Yun ang po masasabi po namin dito. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair, balik po dun sa question. Sa task ng PNP, na kung may dapat talaga siyang hulihin, panagutin, yun yung mga ganitong tipo ng personalities, Apollo Kibuloy and si Go Huaping o si Alice Go. So ano na po ang status ng ginagawa ng PNP?
Sir, yung ginagawa po namin, where continuous po yung investigation namin and continuous po yung tracking po natin. Not only the Philippine National Police, but all the agencies involved. Special po yung Bureau of Immigrations and of course yung intelligence unit po natin from National Security Agency because these are people. With regard to Kibuloy, ganun pa rin po yung ginagawa namin. Tuloy-tuloy pa rin po yung surveillance namin dun sa area po. In yung location po ng 5 tao na hindi po pa nahuhuli. Kasama po ni fugitive Apollo Kibuloy.
So to cap na lang
May
may
I
first round,
remind-
Madam Chair.
may I
oo.
remind
May
the
ganito lang
Honorable
inconsistency,
Manuel
Madam Chair.
that your time expired, so kindly wind up.
Yes, Madam Chair, oo. Nakapag mga big personalities talaga, parang ang hirap-hirap na arestuhin ng PNP. Pero kapag ordinaryong tao, ang dali lang na hulihin tsaka maging biktima pa ng red tagging na nagpapatuloy pa rin hanggang ngayon. So, kailangan talagang mag-ayos, Madam Chair, at hindi dapat yan pabayaan lang. So, that would be for the first round, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Madam Chair, just a comment. I would
Yes,
just like to place it on
Secretary.
record na hindi ho kami ganon. As far as Kibuloy is concerned and the others, ginagawa namin. In fact, dinimanda po kami on record. Nakadimanda po ako ngayon, ang PNP, dahil sa pag-raid po namin sa Kingdom of Jesus. And we are going to answer these accusations against us. Just for the record, hindi po kami ganon. Maski sino po, hahanapin po namin. Salamat po.
Okay, so thank you very much, Honorable Raul Manuel. Next to be recognized is Representative Wowo Fortes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, members of this committee, resource persons, the ALG family. Magandang umaga po. Madam Chair, looking at the budget brief of the DILG, under the title, Our Notable Feat, foremost is the Seal of Good Local Governance. Looking back, 2010, we started with the Seal of Good Housekeeping and the establishment of the Performance Challenge Fund. This eventually metamorphosed into what we call now as the Seal of Good Local Governance around 2014 and was institutionalized through Republic Act 11292. Tawag natin ito is SGLG Act of 2019. If we look back on the data, ang data ko is 2015 lang, we have a total of about 254 LGUs who are passers on this. Currently, dito sa budget brief, in 2022, there are 352 LGU passers, and for 2023, 493. Tinignan ko po ang growth rate from 2015 to 2023. There is an average of about 16% growth rate from among the passers. In 2018, bumaba po tayo ng 40.74%. In 2022, bumaba ng 4.55%. But the average growth is about 16%. Now, RA 11292 established the SGLG Incentive Fund. My first question is, how much for 2022 and 2023 is the SGLG Incentive Fund?
So, before the DILG will answer the query of the, may we acknowledge the presence of our Majority Floor Leader, the Honorable Manix Dalipe. Okay, may you proceed, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To answer the question of the good congressman, In 2020 and 2021, we did not conduct the assessment for the SGLG because of the pandemic, Your Honor. In 2021, there's an allocation of 1 billion pesos for the SGLGI incentive fund. And that is the reason why in 2022, we requested the DBM to add the 1 billion SGLGIF in 2021 to the 2022 SGLGIF. So 2022 SGLGIF essentially became 2 billion pesos. In 2023, the allocation is still 1 billion pesos. So in 2024, also the allocation SGLGIF is 1 billion pesos. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you for that, Yusek. Now, the award given to the province, to the cities and the municipalities that are passers varies every year. For 2018, 7 million to provinces, 5.1 million to cities, and 3.2 million to municipalities. For 2022, naging 9.5 for provinces, 7 million for cities, and 5 million for municipalities. Bakit po pabago-bago taon-taon?
Madam Chair, it varies, Your Honor, because the number of SGLU passers now vary from year to year, and the incentive fund is constant at 1 billion pesos.
So meaning sa SGLG incentive, the more the merrier is not true. Pag madami tayo, malungkot tayong lahat. Pag konti tayo, saka tayo magsasaya. Why can't we adjust the incentive fund as allocated in the GAA? I looked into your proposed budget. I'm very happy. Sa office ni Secretary, ang napakalaki po among the PPAs is the SGLG. 2 billion ang proposal nila ngayon for the first time. Pero sa projected increase of 16%, ginawa ko na ngang 8% ang increase, kulang pa rin po. Hindi pa natin consider dito ang operational fund, which should also be included, which is my next question. How much is the operational fund for SGLG as mandated by Republic Act 11292? Nasabi 2%, at least, I think that's the minimum, 2% of the incentive fund. If the incentive fund is 2 billion, 2% would be about 40 million, which I think is kulang na kulang. Sa BLGS pa lang, kailangan na natin ng 40 milyones eh. E paano pa ang regions? The regions would require about, ang estimate namin is 3.5 per region, roughly 63 million. We need another billion for operational fund. I mean, is that included in the budget? Because I would really move for an increase of this budget dahil napakaganda po ng programa ninyo, Mr. Secretary. Let's support this.
Actually, Congressman Fortes, I would like to thank you for looking at this. No? It's about 40 million operational fund. Tama po kayo, talagang kulang na kulang. Ang amin pong basihan dito ay depende sa mga batas na pinapatupad. Like for example, may mga bagong batas sa environment, no? At mga national agencies po ang katulong namin dito to draw up with these parameters. But one thing should be looked at. For 2023, ang nakakatuwa po will be the first-time passers. Yung unang-unang nagkaroon ng award ng Seal of Good Local Governments. And they are 94 LGUs. Compared to 2022, they were just 48, or a difference of 54. Ibig sabihin po, yung parameters for good governance, financial housekeeping, resilience, nutrition, etc. Ang ganda ng takbo. Kaya tama po obserbasyon po ninyo, mas madami ito, mas maganda. Ibig sabihin, talagang yung parameters na achieve po nila. Pero lumiliit talaga ang reward po namin sa bawat isa. That's why kailangan talaga po namin na mas malaking pondo po rito. Salamat po.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Kaya nga po, what I'm saying is, the more the merrier is not true sa SGLG Incentive Fund. All LGUs are praying na sana konti lang tayo, sana konti lang itong pumasa ng mga to. Imagine this spirit dampening it only because we don't have enough fund. So, Madam Chair, let it be noted in this committee that we are proposing for an increase. Based on the projection which I will be submitting to the committee, we need at least on the projection of about 8%. Hindi pa dito sinali yung DILG Operational Fund. Sa 8% lang po for 2024, we need at least 2.89 billion. 2.89 for 2024 and for 2025, 3 billion. Ang proposal po ng department is 2 billion. Baka madagdagan pa natin ng 1 billion, Madam Chair.
Okay, we'll take
if
note
only
of that,
to
Your
satisfy.
Honor. And your time is expired.
Maraming
so kindly wind up. So
I
kindly
yield
take note
to
of
the
that,
time
Mr.
expiration. Kung
Secretary.
hindi, gagawin ko pa sanang 4 na bilyon eh. Nag-expire na po eh. Thank you,
Maraming salamat po.
Madam Chair. Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Kong Wowo Portes. The next to be recognized is Deputy Minority Leader Muhib Hataman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Magandang umaga ho, Sec, to our former colleague. Pagpasensyahan nyo na ho, alam ko may tradisyon dito sa amin, sa atin, kung dating membro na talagang minsan in-excuse natin. Pero mayroon lang mga ilang concern ho, pinapadala rito sa akin. Pero bago hong yun, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, una, gusto kong ipaabot yung aking taus-pusong pasasalamat sa DILG dahil sa pag-institute ho ng reform sa NCMF. Ito siguro yung kauna-unahang taon na hindi ho nag-iingay yung mga Muslim congressman itong Hajj operation. So salamat ho sa immediate institution ng mga reforms sa loob ng NCMF. Likewise, salamat din sa NCMF sa paglunsad ng maayos. Alam ko hindi ho perfecto, pero kahit papaano hindi ho nagkaroon ng major concern yung ating pilgrims itong taon na to. So with that, maraming salamat. Anyway, dito ho sa report binanggit kanina, nag-decrease yung ating crime incidents ng 3.29%. Ang tanong ko, meron bang region or probinsya na tumaas ang crime incident?
Sir, that's I'll just check. It's more of the average of the whole PNP, sir. I'll just check it right now po.
So wala hong ano, sir, walang Madam Chair, mga specific region or provinces na talagang tumaas or nag-spike yung crime incident. Eh sir, kung wala ho kayong hawak, baka pwede nilang humingi ng kopya later para mas mabilis yung ating process. Kahit document na lang anytime through the chair to the vice chair po. Ang second point ko, kaya ko ni-raise yung issue na to, medyo na-alarma lang po ako sa series of incident sa IP areas ng Maguindanao del Sur. In fact, I have copies and documents sent to me by civil society organization from Maguindanao. Yung pinaka-late ata ho, yung incident ng pag-ambush doon sa Vice Mayor ng South UP. Alam ko nung August 2. Pagdating nung August 6, meron namang MILF commander na inambush sa same area. Ang tanong ko kung merong bang relation at ano yung findings ng ating kapulisan, especially sa Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, dito sa insidente ng South UP. Dahil hindi ho to 1 or 2 incidents. In fact, yung listahan, sir, na nasubmit dito sa akin, more than 20 or 30 series of incident related dito sa UP and Datuudin Sinswa sa Barm areas.
Sir, I don't have the report right now, but I can send it dun sa office niyo po after the hearing po.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. Kaya ko lang ho nire-raise to dahil yung mga kapatid nating kung meron, kasi ang concern ko, sir, kung meron ba tong, kung political ba ito or related sa land conflict. Kasi alam ko, even nung time ko na regional governor ng ARMM, talagang very mataas yung tension sa pagitan ng mga indigenous people, lalong-lalo na yung mga Tiduray, pati yung mga Moro communities. So nung pumasok ko yung buong BARM, lalong lumala yung situation. Kaya mahalaga ho, makita natin to. Tingin ko, napakahalaga ma-address kasi kawawa yung mga kapatid nating katutubo, lalong-lalo na sa area ng UP, yung South and North UP, at humantong ito hanggang sa DOS. At ang very alarming dito, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, Sir, halimbawa, malapit sa sentro ng Datu Udin Sinsuat, may mga armado. Kaya ang tingin ko, magandang ma-address natin. In fact, ang pinaka-late ata dito, yung isang barangay along the coastal ng Datu Udin Sinsuat. At alam ko, ewan ko kung ano yung nangyari sa latest Regional Peace and Order Council ng Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, kung naiula to sa inyo, sana meron tayong moving forward how to address this problem, especially dito sa Maguindanao del Sur. Lalo't lalo ho, napapalapit yung halalan, baka lalong lumala yung situation at and gusto ko na ring itanong ang DILG or yung PNP kung meron ba ho tayong roadmap towards election, kung paano natin ma-contain at lalong-lalo na yung peace and order situation sa buong Bangsamoro Autonomous Region.
Sir, nagpapasalamat po that you brought it out. Anyway, yung report po dun sa regarding po dun sa pagpatay dun sinasabi niyo, we'll just give you the whole report. But I believe it's already been investigated by our people there. With regard po sa roadmap, tama po kayo, I have just spoke to you kanina po, and we'll be coming up with the Task Force Mindanao to really address po yung problema po dun sa Mindanao. And alam ko po yung sinasabi niyo po, it's the first time na magkaroon po ng parliamentary election dyan sa BARM. And ito po naman, sabi ko nga, I already asked our SILG that I'll be flying to Mindanao to talk to the different agencies, especially po sa military, to build po yung Task Force Mindanao namin. Rest assured po na maayos po namin yung the first election po ng Mindanao po.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, can this representation be furnished of a copy of the result of the investigation of the series of killings, halimbawa dito sa South UP, North UP, and Datu Udin Sinsuat? Kasi napahalaga, magtutulungan tayo na pag-aralan to. Kasi mahirap din to mag-escalate. Kasi we were hoping alam natin nung pinirmahan yung expectation ng lahat, nung napirmahan ang peace agreement, and at the same time na, nagkaroon na institutionalize yung Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, all we thought na talagang mag-i-improve totally yung peace and order situation. Pero nag-change ng face yung peace and order situation. So ang tingin ko, kaya yun, Chair, inihingi ko kung hindi through the Vice Chair, kung hindi naman medyo mabigat sa inyo kung ano yung roadmap natin, how to address this situation, and at the same time, what is our roadmap, how to contain yung possible escalation, lalo't lalo na papasok na yung election sa 20. Alam ko meron kayo at alam nyo yung real situation kasi history na yung mga insidente dyan. Anyway, sir, ang last ko doon sa budget meron increase nung kung hindi ako nagkamali 6%. Ito anong aspect nung budget at nung class expense ang nag-increase sa PS ba to, sa MOE or anything? Sir, anyway, kung wala kung hindi ready yung document, baka pwede na lang ma-furnish, sir, through the Vice Chair nung item nung programs, kung sa program ba yung increase nung budget o kung sa PS ba to o kung ano yung aspect. And lastly, siguro sa NCMF alam mo, etong NCMF, napakagandang programa. Alam ko, si SEC, alam ko part ng Congress nung ipinasa yung transformation from Office of Muslim Affairs to National Commission on Muslim Filipino. Alam ko, you were part of that Congress po. Ewan ko kung 13 or 14 yan. Pero, ang ang napansin ko, kahit magandang, alam naman ho nating lahat kahit gaano kaganda ang programa, ewan ko, I hope may DBM dito. Pag hindi ho natin to sinusuportahan ng tamang pondo, magiging useless yung programa. Yun yung effect nun. Si NCMF, kung pinapansin ko yan mula noon, ang malaking porsyento ng kanilang budget napupunta sa sahod at sa MOE. At ang mas malaki dyan ay sa sahod. Kahit sahuran natin ng tao, bigyan natin ng gasolina, hindi ho magkakaroon ng outcome. Maaring meron silang output, pero sa totoo, hindi rin ho magkakaroon ng impact sa tao. So masasayang. Ang tingin ko ito yung dapat pag-aralan.
Kindly wind up, gentlemen.
Yes, Madam Chair. Tingin ko, sir, ito yung dapat pag-aralan ng NCM at DBM. Kung hindi, i-collapse natin yung ibang programa. At kung meron naman yan sa iba, kung hindi rin naman natin kayang pondohan, hindi ho dapat slogan lang ang gagawin natin sa isang institution. Dapat pakilusin talaga natin ang isang institution. So, with that, actually marami pa akong concern and tanong, clarification, Madam Chair, pero siguro sa second round. Una, salamat sa lahat. Madam Chair, lalong-lalo na kay Secretary sa pagsuporta sa NCMF, lalong-lalo na ho sa pag-institute ng major reform. So, yun lamang po. Maraming
salamat po. Deputy Minority Leader Muhib Hataman. The next to be recognized is Deputy Majority Leader Janet Garin.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and a pleasant good morning to the DILG family, our very good colleague who is hardworking, but who never grows old in looks and in deeds. Madam Chair, let me, I have a slide. Can the slide be shown? Yeah. So, Madam Chair, just for the record, in our humble district in the southern part of Iloilo, the last town connecting Iloilo and Antique is the town called San Joaquin, where our Bornean datus and our ancestors actually landed the first time. It's full of heritage and culture, but because it's also a diving spot, not only by locals, but also tourists and even foreign nationals. My predecessor, my father-in-law, decided to legislate a San Joaquin hospital. And that is, the photo that's being flashed now is the hospital that became a fruition of a legislation way back in 1990. Unfortunately, over the years, because there was a need to expand and the contiguous properties were selling their land expensively, the local government unit decided to purchase the land across the street for the expansion of the services and the initiation of the new hospital. However, this old hospital still holds the radiological services. Example, yung X-ray. Way back, I believe in April, I'm not sure which month, but I'm willing to furnish the secretary a copy of the chronology. The X-ray bulb got busted, and a government procedure as it is, medyo tatagal yan kasi magpro-procure. Let's proceed to the next slide. Yung pong nasira ang bombilya ng X-ray, nagulanta ang lahat na nagkaroon ng ganito after, I believe, a few months, nung babalik na ang mga taga-munisipyo para linisin ang lugar at nandun po yung taga-Western Visayas Medical Center, RadTech, to install the broken bulb and for them to assess and check and activate again the X-ray machine. When this was seen, umatras po ang ating mga LGU employees kasi syempre natakot sila because there were allegedly armed men, hindi naman ito ma-confirm, but there were unfamiliar faces in the vicinity. Second visit, napuntahan ulit, and in attempt to clean the area in May 4, pinagalitan po yung mga taga-munisipyong maglilinis doon. Hence, the mayor decided to write a letter to the chief of police, next slide please, which was duly received. and that's I think dated May 27. This was after the May 4 incident. Unfortunately, Madam Chair, what happened was that the Chief of Police, instead of assisting the LGU, decided to go to the person who allegedly put up the no trespassing signages. But this included padlocking all doors, padlocking all facilities, and even installing barbed wires in a government building and a government facility. Since the local government unit is aware, at alam naman po natin, Madam Chair, Secretary Abalos, and of course, General Marbil, alam naman po natin na ang ibang hahantungan lang at pupuntahan ng ating mga kababayan at ng ating LGU ay ang PNP. After several representations with the PNP in the locality and in the province, nahirapan napagod po sila. And they ended up calling me. I called up the PD, I called up the RD, I was assured of support. Hindi po sila inuutusan na makialam, hindi po sila sinasabihan na sila yung magtanggal ng mga signages. Ang sinasabi lang sa kanila is visibility, so that the officials, employees of the LGU and Western Visayas Medical Center can enter the premises safely. Kasi takot sila, sinisigaw-sigawan. To our surprise, Secretary Benhur and General Marbil, Madam Chair, our appeal fell on deaf ears. And I was constrained to do the task of the PNP and go there personally. Nag-live na lang kami para kung meron mang masaktan, makita nyo sa footage at sa video kung sino ang mananakit sa amin. Our protection, we're the media people who volunteered to go there, but prior to that, there were allegations na malapit daw sa PNP yung nag-claim nito. Be that as it may, Secretary, may I ask, if there is a government property, pagkatapos tumawag yung LGU sa PNP, ang gagawin ba ng PNP ay pupunta sa alleged heir ng nag-donate na nag-claim ng property, or gagawin niya ang kanyang tungkulin?
Okay, so kindly take note of the
May I request the response, Madam Chair, because this is a very important concern. This involves a hospital illegally overtaken, and the PNP refused to help the LGU. At ang paulit-ulit pa na sinabi ng PNP, kailangan daw yung mga tao ng ospital, yung Western Visayas Medical Center at yung San Joaquin LGU ay kumuha ng court order para tanggalin yung mga linagay na yan.
Okay, so may we get a quick response from the DILG with regards to the sentiments of the Honorable
Yes,
Garin.
Madam Chair. I was discussing things with the RD right now. And on July 2024, PC Captain Felix Perez, the Chief of Police of San Joaquin, was subjected to pre-charge investigation for neglect of duty. This was July 2024.
How about the PD, Secretary, Madam Chair? Because the regional director is aware that even the Sangguniang Panlalawigan investigated this, and the PD was insisting that it should be the LGU, gobyerno, ang maghahanap ng court order na wala namang kaso. Is it not, Secretary?
Kindly take note, Secretary, of all.
Yes, I would look into it.
Okay, so thank you very much,
Madam Chair,
Honorable Janet Garin.
Madam Chair, just for clarification, my question is this. Kung merong government property, pinasok, walang nag-file ng kaso, ibig ba sabihin, ibibigay ng kusa ng PNP yung property na yun o hindi? It's yes or no, Madam Chair?
Kung Madam Chair, kung walang kaso is government, dapat tayuan ng pulis ito.
Thank you very much, Secretary. I salute you for that.
Thank you once again, Deputy Majority Leader Janet Garin. The next to be recognized is Representative Bonifacio Bosita.
Yeah, Madam Chair, prior lang, let this situation not taint the good name of the PNP. Kasi ngayon, lumalabas ulit sa balita na yung mga nag-hold up sa Cebu, nadadamay ulit yung pangalan ng PNP. We need to clean that name and that reputation. Maraming salamat, Madam Chair.
Representative Bonifacio Bosita is recognized by the Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning po sa ating lahat. Madam Chair, pwede po bang malaman sa PNP ilan po ang personnel ng PNP? Total strength ng PNP, Madam Chair. Pwede po bang malaman?
The actual strength of the Philippine National Police is about 215,755.
How many, Madam Chair?
Madam Chair, the total strength of the Philippine National Police about 215,755.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Ano po ba, Madam Chair, ang ideal ratio between PNP and population?
Madam Chair, ang hinabol po namin is the police to population ratio is 1:500 po.
1:500. Madam Chair, pwede po bang malaman ilan po ang personnel ng PNP rendering security duties to different personalities?
Sir, just give me a second, sir. I'll just get the whole number po. The number of police personnel doing protective duties about 1,463 for about 578 high-threatened individuals po.
Madam Chair, yan po ba yung naka-assign sa PSPG? Hindi po kasama dyan yung mga securities ng ibang mga personnel?
Sir, I don't get your point kung paano po yung sinasabi nyo.
Ano po ba yung mga personnel rendering protective security? Ito lang po ba yung binabanggit po ninyo, Madam Chair, na assign sa PSPG o hindi po?
Sir, ang number po ng sinasabi ko po is the people that are actually deployed to the different people with heightened high security threat po.
Hindi po ito yung naka-assign lang sa PSPG, tama po ba?
Sir, we don't allow personnel to be assigned as doing protective detail kung hindi po sila naka-assign po sa PSPG. We have already made a memo na unauthorized po, kaya nga po ito yung ginagawa natin. We try to rationalize po yung deployment ng mga police po namin.
Okay. Madam Chair, pwede po bang malaman sa PNP ilan po ang personnel nila under floating status?
So I don't have the data right now, but I can submit it to you po, sir, mamaya po.
Pardon, sir, Madam Speaker.
Sir, I don't have any data right now. Pinacheck ko lang po, but I can submit the numbers po sa inyo po after the hearing po.
Madam Chair, importante po kasi ito na malaman natin. Especially those officers na nasa third level. Dahil alam po natin na itong mga ito ay tumatanggap ng malalaking sweldo at dapat nagsisilbi sa taong bayan. Kaya, Madam Chair, may I respectfully move to direct the PNP through the ILG to submit the list of personnel rendering security duties to different personalities and all personnel under floating status and their corresponding reasons, Madam Chair.
May we get an answer from the ILG?
Yes, we'll submit po yung list po ng mga tao namin doing protective duty and the people na nandun po sa floating status po.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To continue, Madam Chair, meron pong PNP manual, Philippine National Police Manual. Kasama po dito yung PNP Ethical Doctrine. At sabi po dito sa Chapter 1, 2.9, Police Management Leadership. The effectiveness of law enforcement is reflective of the managerial capabilities and competent leadership of the men and women who run the PNP organization. These attributes must therefore be one of the primary base for consideration in the selection of personnel for employment and deployment purposes. Nabanggit din po dito under 2.1, Chapter 1, Equality in the Service. This shall be judicious and equitable distribution of opportunity to prove one's worth in the police service. The problem of inequity through class orientation and factionalism, both real and perceived, premise on favored assignment and equitable opportunity of training, unfair granting of promotion, and untimely awarding of achievements will create an atmosphere of demoralization. The result is inefficiency and lack of teamwork to the detriment of the organization. Madam Chair, dito po sa Information Technology Management Service, the most senior and qualified na dapat sana ay ma-promote si Police Colonel Bores. Ang tanong, Madam Chair, considering this PNP manual, particular itong PNP Ethical Doctrine, bakit parang hindi po sinusunod ito ng PNP at sa halip na i-appoint si Police Colonel Bores doon sa position na nararapat sa kanya, ang inaccept at inappoint po sa position as Deputy for Administration is Police Colonel Villena, Madam Chair. Pwede po bang malaman?
Okay, so maybe get an answer from the PNP Chief and kindly wind up, Honorable Busita.
Sir, ang nangyari po doon sa yung sinasabi niyo tao is the Chief of Staff. And although we are following po yung specialization ng tao, meron po kaming nahabol na yung seniority doon sa mga position na namin. And all the people na naka-assign po doon sa ITMS that you are trying to point out, lahat naman po sila may specialization. It's a matter po na seniority po yung inahabol po doon when it comes to promotion po.
Madam Chair, ano po ba ang importante? Technical expertise or seniority?
Sir, dito po ang hinahabol po namin expertise po.
Ibig po bang sabihin, when it comes to expertise, mas expert si Police Colonel Villela, PNPA year, PNPA graduate, than Police Colonel Bores na naka-assign sa ITMS since Police Inspector po siya?
Okay, your time expired, Honorable Busita. Kindly wind up. May we get an answer from the Chief PNP?
Sir, we have a promotion board looking at the expertise of our people, and I support po yung decision po ng special promotion board natin based dun sa mga expertise po ng tao natin. We'll just give and submit po yung mga accomplishment and expertise po ng tao for the perusal po ng ating minamahal na congressman po.
Nabanggit ko lang ito, Madam Chair, kasi po, since 1988, nung ako po ay naging member ng Philippine Constabulary, until now, talagang hindi po na-observe itong mga manuals, policies, guidelines, with all due respect to our Chief PNP and to our Honorable Secretary DILG. Napakahalaga po nito kasi ito pong mga technical officers, parang kung titingnan po natin yung totoong nangyayari, parang hopeless eh. Wala na silang pag-asa dahil sa ganitong sistema na kung hindi po ninyo kayang i-adapt itong PNP manual, eh para naman may mukha po tayong iharap sa taong bayan at sa ating mga tauhan.
Okay,
baguhin na lamang po natin
thank you
ito.
very much, Honorable Representative Bonifacio Rosita.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
To proceed with our interpellation, may call from the minority, Congresswoman Arlene Rosas. You have your 5 minutes. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I have so many questions dito, Mr. Chair, but I know mas mapupuntuhan ko sa plenaryo. But anyway, Mr. Chair, I will ask my questions. I will start with, Mr. Chair, yung missing beauty queen, si Catherine Camillon, was last seen last year, October 12. The main suspected implicated in this case was former Police Major Alan De Castro and his driver bodyguard Jeffrey Magpantay. Na-dismiss yung kaso ni De Castro noong na-implicate siya sa kaso. However, the regional prosecutor dismissed charges of kidnapping and serious illegal detention filed against former Police Major Alan De Castro and his driver bodyguard Jeffrey Magpantay. Ano na po ang hakbang na ginawa ng PNP kaugnay sa kasong ito? At nasaan na ngayon si former Police Major Alan De Castro? Ano ang status niya sa PNP, Mr. Chair?
Chief PNP, you're recognized. Kindly answer.
Madam Chair, I'll just wait for the report coming from, I don't have it right now. Just give me a minute and I'll just get the report. Madam Chair, can I ask the Regional Director of PRO 4A to answer the query of our the Congresswoman?
RD, you're recognized. Kindly answer.
Good morning po, Sir.
Please state your name and your rank. Thank you, sir.
I am Police Brigadier General Kenneth Lucas, the Regional Director of PRO 4A. Good morning po.
Kindly sit down.
First po, yung tinatanong po yung whereabouts ni Police Major, former Police Major De Castro, siya po ay na-dismiss, Your Honor. Dismissed from the service because of the Camillon case. Secondly, yung criminal case po niya was filed by the CIDG, and accordingly doon sa pag-update ng CIDG, Provincial CIDG sa amin, nangongolekta po sila ng additional evidence, and they are in constant
Sorry, hindi ko po masyado marinig, Mr. Chair. Nasaan na ngayon na-dismiss na yung case? So, kung na-dismiss na yung case, nasaan na ngayon si Police Major Alan De Castro? Tapos ano yung status niya?
Dismiss na po si Police Major De Castro, Your Honor. With regards to the criminal case na final ng CIDG, continuous po yung pag-gather nila ng additional evidence, Your Honor.
So may kaso pa rin siya? CIDG na? Under CIDG na?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, I am asking this question dahil sunod-sunod yung mga kaso ng karahasan sa kababaihan na sangkot ang isang pulis. Yung pagpatay sa beauty pageant na si beauty queen din ito, si Geneva Lopez at sa kanyang kasintahan sa Tarlac, sangkot dito ay 2 pulis. Kahapon lang, may binalita rin na binawian na ng buhay si alias Analiza sa Quezon City General Hospital. Hindi na, tinago natin yung pangalan. Matapos barilin sa ulo ng boyfriend na pulis. Ngayon, alarming po ito, Mr. Chair. Paano kaya yung mga kaso na hindi lumalabas sa publiko, Mr. Chair? Ilan na ba yung kaso ng vow perpetrated by policemen na natatanggap ng PNP mismo kada taon? Can you please provide a data on this?
You're directed to provide the data, Chief PNP.
Our Chairman, I just want to correct po yung nangyari po doon sa Angeles, no? They are not active policemen. They are a whole policemen, not on our list anymore. They're civilian people. Dati po silang police, but hindi na po sila police. With regard po dun sa nakabaril po sa Davao, we have already charged that person for murder and nakakulong po yung tao ngayon dun sa nakabaril na police po.
Mr. Chair, ulitin ko lang yung sinabi, no? Dating police. So oriented, police before, tapos sila yung perpetrators nito.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor. Yung po yung dalawang police po natin na na-involve po dun sa Pampanga, Angeles, hindi po sila, dati silang police pero hindi na po sila police.
Okay. Yung sa Tarlac, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yung kay
Yes, Your
Geneva
Honor.
Lopez.
Yun po yung dalawang tao po. I will not consider them police anymore kasi wala na po dun sa listahan po namin.
Yes, Mr. Chair, pero coming from the police, no? Yung orientation nyo po, ibig sabihin, kahit naman yung mga retired at yung mga mga dating police ay yun lang, no? We should not tolerate this kind of behavior, lalo na kung galing sa Philippine National Police. Kaya, Mr. Chair, to be concrete, ilan or may mabibigay ba o mapoprovide na data ang PNP kaugnay sa violence against women perpetrated by policemen sa ngayon? Meron po ba kayong ganon?
Your Honor, I don't have the list right now but I can submit it after the hearing po.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, nakakabahala yung mga kasong ito, no? Wala kasing napapanagot yung iba. Tulad nung nangyari kay Fabel Pineda noong 2021, ni-rape at binaril ng suspect na police kung saan dismissed din ang kaso at walang naging hustisya na binigay sa pamilya Pineda. Kung ganito yung magiging trend ng mga police natin, bakit sila na-absuelto, Mr. Chair, no? Tapos coming from those sila na dapat nagpapatupad ng batas, ganito yung mga nangyayari. Anyway, Mr. Chair, hindi pa tayo sinasagot kaugnay sa data, tapos yung kay Fabel Pineda.
Chief PNP.
Your Honor, with regard to Fabel Pineda, I'll just have to read it po. With regard po dun sa kay Fabel Pineda, and we have the suspects right now, the two policemen, they are already dismissed from the service, and we have already filed the case in court po. The victim of the accusing the suspect of the crime of rape po.
Yan nga yung sinasabi natin na kaso na hindi pa rin nabibigyan. 2021, ano na po ngayon, 2024. No? Anyway, Mr. Chair, meron po bang VAW data, violence against women, perpetrated by policemen data? Ang PNP.
Chief PNP.
Your Honor, can I just submit it after the hearing po? I have a data right now but I'm not so sure kung tama po. Tama po to but baka magkamali po but I have to submit it after po ng hearing po.
Yes, you are directed to submit directly to Congresswoman Arlene Rosas and furnish us a copy. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Diyan po na-defer ang budget ng DILG. because hindi makapagbigay ng mga necessary data at necessary documents. Kaya Mr. Chair, lalo na sa panahon ng plenary, kailangan po namin yung mga ganon na datos kasi pinag-aaralan po natin yung mga trends, lalo kami sa Gabriela Women's Party. We are really concerned dito sa mga police-perpetrated violence against women. Yung mga rape cases, yung trending, etc. No?
Chief PNP, when can you submit the data being asked by Congresswoman Arlene Rosas? Kindly give us a date. When can you commit to give us the data? Thank you.
Sir, Your Honor, what we have right now is more of the violence against women, but we can just submit it tomorrow po to really comprehensive report about the one you're asking for.
Yes, kindly submit it to the office of Congresswoman Arlene Rosas and furnish this committee a copy. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.